You ever have one of those moments where reality snaps? Not like a branch, but like a bone. Clean, quiet. But after that, nothing quite moves the same again. Mine came on a rainy Wednesday morning, somewhere between coffee and my second attempt at syncing the garage door remote. I wasn't snooping. Honestly, I was just trying to find a half-finished tax form on the family laptop. Monica usually leaves 17 tabs open, each one weirder than the last. Gardening tips, astrology memes, 8 different recipes for baked salmon we never make. But that morning, wedged between Target promo codes July and Is Ceramic Cookware Toxic, was a Google search that read, How not to fall in love with a man from work. Let that one marinate. I didn't panic. Not yet. I stared at it the way you might stare at a crack in your windshield. Small, but you just know it's headed somewhere catastrophic. Monica, my wife of 7 years, was downstairs at the time, probably blending her kale and moral superiority into a smoothie. She was a marketing director. Type A. Always smelled faintly of rose water and judgment. Now, I'm not a jealous guy. I don't throw tantrums. I don't rifle through purses or check mileage on the car. But I do pay attention. I notice when her perfume changes. I notice when she starts humming in the morning again, after years of waking up like a resentful zombie. I notice when a woman starts dressing like she might bump into someone important at the printer. So I did what any rational man would do. I copied the phrase, pasted it in Notepad, and saved it under the name Dinner Ideas. Seemed fitting. Later that night, over spaghetti neither of us wanted, I casually mentioned her new coworker, the brilliant strategist she'd started name-dropping like he came with a business card and a cologne line. Josh, I said, spearing a meatball, seems like a charming guy. She looked up, blinked. Just for a moment. He's smart. Married, though. I nodded. That's always the case with smart men. She laughed, a little too loud. I watched her closely. People forget that laughter is often just panic dressed in sequins. That night, I waited until she fell asleep before I opened the laptop again. Same tab, same search, but now a few more below it. Emotional affairs versus physical affairs. Do work crushes mean your marriage is over? How to know if you're settling. You don't need a polygraph to read the writing on the wall. Sometimes you just need Chrome history and a calm hand. Here's the thing, I didn't confront her. Not yet. I smiled. I made coffee. I folded the laundry while she was on late calls. I waited. Because the best way to catch a lie isn't by asking, it's by watching. See, Monica thought she was running this game. But I wasn't just the husband. I was the husband paying attention. And in the next part, let's just say things got illuminating. By week 2, I had a plan. You don't survive the slow death of a marriage without picking up some tactical skills. Patience, pattern recognition, quiet detachment. I started driving Monica to work. Volunteered even. Trying to reduce our carbon footprint, I said with a grin. Besides, gas is insane. She blinked, then shrugged. Sure, that's nice. Nice. Like an unexpected dental cleaning. The kind of nice that meant she didn't quite buy it, but couldn't poke a hole in it either. Monday morning, she got in the car in heels and a perfume I'd never smelled before. Vanilla and something expensive. She wore lipstick. To work. On a Monday. You meeting someone important today? I asked as casually as ordering a breakfast sandwich. She smiled, didn't look up from her phone. Client pitch. Uh-huh. We pulled into her office lot. That's when I saw him, Josh from work. He was leaning against a silver Audi, the kind of guy who irons his jeans and probably thinks a leather bracelet gives him depth. The minute Monica stepped out, his entire posture changed. Upright, alert, like a dog catching a scent. She smiled that smile. Not the one she gave me anymore. The one that said you see me. You get me. I didn't park. Just watched. Waited. Clocked the angle of their lean in. The hands brushing a little too naturally. The laugh that made her touch his chest like a teenager in a CW drama. Then I drove off. I didn't confront her that night either. Instead, I created a folder on my desktop titled Project Oakwood, which is the kind of name you give something that's both legally neutral and personally devastating. Inside the folder, timestamps, photos, notes. I wasn't out for blood yet, just the truth. And when you want truth, you don't demand it. You let it confess itself. That Friday, she came home late. Again, she tossed her coat, kissed me on the cheek without making contact, and went straight to the shower. Rough day, I asked from the kitchen. She shouted back over the running water. You don't even want to know? Josh had a meltdown. Work's been crazy. Josh again. My imaginary friend made flesh. Saturday morning, I brought her coffee in bed. She smiled, surprised. You're sweet, she said, one hand still thumbing through Instagram. Just wanted to do something nice, I said. Then I kissed her forehead and left for the day. She didn't know that I had a meeting with someone who owed me a favor. You ever have that one friend who knows a guy? Mine's named Eric. Eric's the kind of man who's been on quiet retainer for 3 divorces, 2 custody battles, and one time he helped someone prove their ex had faked a medical diagnosis to win sympathy from a jury. Charming guy. Wears too much cologne. But if your world's on fire, he shows up with a fire hose and a folder. I need eyes, I told him over black coffee in a booth that hadn't been cleaned since the Obama administration. He looked at me, half surprised. You serious? Monica, there's a guy? Josh, something's off. Eric smirked, like a bartender who's already heard your drink order 5 times that week. You want surveillance or dirt? Whichever gets me peace of mind. He leaned back, cracked his knuckles, and said the most reassuring sentence a man in my position could ever hear. Give me a week. And just like that, Project Oakwood wasn't just a folder. It was a full-blown operation. 3 days later, Eric texted me a name I didn't recognize. Melinda Grant, HR manager. And a time, 12:15 p.m. Trust me, he added. Go have lunch there. Sit near the windows. I did. I got a booth in full view of her office building's side entrance. Ordered a chicken panini I wouldn't remember. And just as the clock hit 12:17, a familiar shape appeared. Monica. Not alone. Josh from work was beside her, wearing that smug, half-zipped hoodie that says, I do CrossFit and emotional damage. They weren't touching, but they weren't not touching either. You know that space people leave when they're just friends? Yeah, they weren't leaving it. They walked close. She laughed at something he said, head tilted, hand grazing his sleeve like a movie scene shot on location. Then they disappeared inside the cafe across the street. But here's the part that really burned. Monica told me she had a working lunch with her team. The lie wasn't even clever, just lazy. That night, I waited. I set my phone on the kitchen table, face up. She came home with that same breezy guiltlessness that used to be endearing and now felt like a poker tell. How was the lunch meeting? I asked. Oh, fine. Boring. Just ordered in. She didn't flinch. That scared me more than anything. Cool, I nodded. Just checking. She kissed me on the cheek, started scrolling Instagram, and that was it. But here's what she didn't know. I had audio. Eric had planted a mic near their usual lunch spot. Nothing illegal, all above board. The recorder picked up everything from her fake laugh to a very interesting question. Josh, you really think you can keep this going? Monica laughs, as long as he stays clueless. I saved the file, renamed it as_long_first days_clueless.mp3. Funny thing was, I wasn't even angry. Not yet, because she thought I was losing. But I was just getting started. By now, Project Oakwood was humming along like a well-oiled trap. And me? I was playing dumb like it was a second language. Monica still kissed me goodbye every morning. Still texted me polite updates about long meetings and exhausting brainstorms. Still called me babe, like the word hadn't been hollowed out and worn like a costume. But I'd stopped reacting. Stopped trying. I just observed, like a man watching his house slowly catch fire, waiting for the exact moment to point and say, there. That's where it started. The day things started to shift, I got a text from Eric. It was simple. She's made a mistake. Check your email. Subject line, Oakwood, HR. I opened the file in my office. My hands didn't shake. I was past that now. It was an email thread, Monica and someone named Melinda Grant, the HR manager Eric had mentioned. The messages were mundane on the surface. Work safe, buzzword riddled. But 2 lines stood out. From Monica, it's not inappropriate if it started before he joined my team, right? From Melinda, you know we can't ignore this stuff, Monica. If anyone finds out, it puts the entire team at risk. I stared at the screen for a long time. Let those words breathe. Let them bloom. Because in a single email chain, Monica had admitted 2 critical things. Something had started. She knew it crossed a line. Now, I don't know how well-versed you are in company policies, but when it comes to HR and inter-office romance, especially with a subordinate, let's just say there are more landmines than in a Cold War movie. So I did what any calm, methodical man would do. I scheduled lunch. With Melinda. We met 2 days later at a neutral cafe. No microphones this time. Just two adults sipping burnt coffee and pretending to make casual conversation. Melinda looked exactly like someone in charge of company morale. Polite, firm, and just a bit exhausted. I wasn't sure if this was a good idea, she said, folding her hands on the table. But Eric said you're not trying to blow anything up. I'm not, I said with a small smile. Unless I have to. She raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask. Smart woman. I just want to know the truth, I added. Off the record. I don't care about lawsuits. I don't want money. I just want clarity. Melinda sipped her tea. I can't confirm anything about Monica, she said slowly, carefully. That would be a violation. Understood. But if a certain employee were involved in a personal relationship that compromised objectivity, she continued, and that relationship wasn't disclosed to HR, it would be grounds for review. Possibly termination. Especially if it affected team dynamics. I nodded. Let's say, hypothetically, there was a digital trail? Melinda smiled slightly. Not warm. More like someone who just remembered they locked the front door. That would make things more complicated, she said. For the employee in question. And the man she's seeing? If he's under her supervision? She shrugged. That could be handled. Reassignment, maybe. Or he's let go quietly. But the one who gets burned the most is always the one who should have known better. She didn't say Monica's name. She didn't have to. That night, I made dinner. Chicken Alfredo. Her favorite. Monica walked in late, lips pink, heels clicking. Her phone was in her hand, a dumb little smile still flickering on her mouth. I watched her from across the counter, my expression steady, unreadable. You're in a good mood, I said. She looked up, startled. Huh? Oh, just tired. Long meeting. She hesitated a second too long. Yeah. Josh's presentation ran late. I handed her a plate. Josh from work, I said flatly. You two seem close. She froze, just for a moment, then laughed. God, babe, don't be jealous. We're just friends. I smiled. I really smiled. The kind that stretches across your face like a sunrise before a thunderstorm. That's good, I said, because I'd hate to see something ruin your career. The fork in her hand paused midway to her mouth. What's that supposed to mean? I set my own plate down, folded my hands. Just something I heard, I said casually. HR's been sniffing around. Apparently, a certain marketing director's been a little too cozy with her direct report. Didn't file the proper disclosure. You know how messy that can get. She stared at me, eyes darting, brain firing in 7 directions. Why would they talk to you? I'm your husband, I said calmly. Still, anyway, you're bluffing. I leaned forward just slightly. I've got the emails, Monica. Her face lost color. Her mouth opened, then closed, like she was scrolling through mental files, searching for which one had slipped. You went through my stuff? No, I said. You left it open. You always do. She looked down at her plate, hands suddenly too still. The silence between us stretched long, heavy. What do you want? She asked quietly. I took a breath. I want you to remember this moment. The silence. The stillness. The part where the power shifts. Because from now on, you're the one walking on eggshells. Her voice was flat. Defensive. You're threatening me. No, I said, standing. I'm reminding you. Actions have consequences. You played a game. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I did. I walked to the doorway, turned back once more. You've got 2 options, Monica. Come clean to HR. Or wait for them to come to you. Either way, the clock's ticking. She didn't answer. And I didn't wait for her to. I just went upstairs, closed the door, and exhaled for the first time in days. The morning after our little HR dinner theater, Monica was quiet. Too quiet. Not in the cold shoulder kind of way. No, this was a calculating silence. The kind of quiet you only get when someone's running crisis simulations in their head. Rewinding conversations, reanalyzing tones, trying to find the exact moment the walls began to close in. She didn't kiss me goodbye that day. Didn't say I love you. Just grabbed her coffee and left with a stiff, see you later, like she was headed to a deposition, not a workplace she once claimed to thrive in. I didn't follow her. I didn't need to. Because the funny thing about guilt is, it leaves fingerprints all by itself. By lunchtime, she cracked. I got the first text at 12:04 p.m. Monica, can we talk later? Then, for minutes later. Monica, like really talk. Please. I stared at my screen for a while before responding. Me. Sure. After work. Dinner. Monica, no. Not dinner. Just us. No distractions. That last part made me chuckle. No distractions. As if Josh from work didn't just count as one long, extended distraction with cologne and a PowerPoint habit. Still, I agreed. Because here's the secret no one tells you when you're dealing with a liar. You don't need to trap them. You just need to give them room. They'll step into the noose themselves, thinking it's a scarf. We sat down at the dining room table at 7:15 p.m. Not on the couch. Not at the kitchen island. The table, the neutral zone where taxes were filed, where holiday cards were signed, where we pretended to be happy long enough to keep up appearances. She wore no makeup. A sweater I hadn't seen in months. The kind of outfit you wear when you're trying to look unthreatening. Honest. Human. Look, she said before I could say a word. I know something's wrong. I know. I haven't been fair to you. I raised an eyebrow. Haven't been fair. Don't, she held up a hand. Don't do the lawyer voice. I'm trying to be honest. I didn't interrupt. I let her squirm in the silence. She swallowed. Her hands wrung the edge of her sleeve. There's nothing physical between me and Josh, she said, too quickly. But there was a connection. A closeness. I blinked slowly. That's what you're going with. It's the truth. Then what was the search history? I asked. The emails? The lunches? The perfume? Her face flinched like I'd slapped her with a spreadsheet. I didn't mean for it to become something complicated, she said. I felt like I'd disappeared in this house. Like you didn't see me anymore. Like everything between us was on autopilot. That part actually stung. Not because it was wrong, but because it was the first thing she'd said that was true. You wanted to be seen, I said slowly. And instead of saying something, you went looking for a spotlight. Her chin dropped. And now what? I added. You want forgiveness? You want me to forget? I want to fix it, she whispered. I want us to be okay. And right there, in that moment, I saw the fork in the road. I could take the high ground. Take the classic route. Let's go to therapy. We'll rebuild trust. Let's give it time. Or, I could do what I'd been quietly preparing for since this whole circus began. I could take back control. I stood up from the table, walked to the drawer by the kitchen, came back with a small black folder. I set it in front of her. What's this? She asked, already wary. An offer, I said. A clean one. She opened it, and her face drained faster than a sink with no stopper. Inside, a basic legal separation agreement. Drafted, notarized, ready to go. Fair division, clean split, and 2 key clauses. No spousal support. Full release from any claims of professional retaliation if she left the company voluntarily. She stared at the second line, mouth half open. You want me to quit my job? No, I said. I want you to own the damage. Walk away with what dignity you have left. You torched a marriage, Monica. The least you can do is spare the company. She laughed once, dry and sharp. This is revenge. This is grace, I said. You think revenge would look like this? You'd know if I wanted revenge. This is me giving you a way out that doesn't end with HR audits, career implosions, or front-page divorce settlements. Her fingers trembled on the page. I don't want to sign this, she said quietly. I know. Then why give it to me? I looked her dead in the eye. Because you stopped being my wife the moment you decided I wasn't enough, and I stopped being your fool the moment I found out. The silence that followed was enormous. Deafening. The Monica I knew, or thought I knew, would have argued. Deflected. Weaponized some half-baked trauma. But this Monica? She just stared at the folder like it was the headstone of something she'd buried a long time ago and only now remembered was hers. And me? I went to bed. Alone. For once. Not because she'd turned away, but because I had. I woke up to silence. Not the comforting kind, the kind where your house breathes with you, but that sharp, surgical quiet that means someone's up before you, thinking too hard. I found Monica at the kitchen table, again. Same sweater, same posture, same folder in front of her, unopened now. She wasn't reading anymore. She was just staring, like the paper might change on its own if she glared hard enough. You didn't sleep, I said flatly, pouring coffee. No, can't decide, or just afraid of the consequences? She didn't look up. You make it sound like a choice between jumping and falling. I sat across from her. It is. You jump, at least you land on your terms. That was the thing Monica never understood about me. I don't bluff. I don't posture. I just prepare. When I placed that folder in front of her, I didn't expect her to sign it right away. Monica isn't impulsive. She's strategic. Calculated. She once spent 2 hours in a Target debating which throw pillows best reflected her emotional arc. But this was no pillow. This was a bomb, and the wires were hers to cut. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, almost like a question. I didn't answer, not out of spite, but because I was tired of explaining gravity to someone who kept testing it. I don't even know what I was doing with Josh, she added, voice small. You do, I said, sipping my coffee. You were trying to see if you could still break hearts. She flinched. Truth has a way of doing that when it's earned. Then she finally did something surprising. She opened the folder and signed. No speech, no protest, just the quiet scratch of pen on paper and a long, shallow breath when it was done. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like confirmation, like hearing a doctor say the word you already suspected, malignant. She slid the folder across the table without looking at me. You really talked to HR? Not directly, I said. But let's just say if this ever went public, your inbox would collapse faster than our marriage. Monica leaned back, blinking hard. Then she said something that stopped me cold. I didn't love him. You know. I raised an eyebrow. And I'm supposed to feel what? Relief? No, she said, a touch of defiance creeping back in. You're supposed to know that it wasn't about him. It was about me. Well, I hope you and you are very happy together. I stood up, but before I could leave the room, she said something else. Soft, like she wasn't sure she should. Did you ever cheat on me? I froze. I turned, looked her in the eye. No. She searched my face, trying to find a crack. But I had nothing to give her. I wasn't a liar. That was her department. Then why are you so calm about all this? She asked. I tilted my head. Because unlike you, I didn't break what I couldn't rebuild. She moved out 3 days later. Quietly. No drama. No slammed doors or weepy soundtracks. Just a moving truck, a few awkwardly labeled boxes, and a tight-lipped nod as she passed me in the hallway. I didn't offer to help. Not out of cruelty. Out of fairness. She'd built this wreckage herself. Seemed only right she carry it out, box by box. That night, the house was quieter than it had ever been. Too clean. Too orderly. Like she'd tried to erase herself, but left the ghost behind. I poured a drink. Sat in the chair she never liked. The one that didn't match the aesthetic. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like a man waiting to be replaced. I felt free. That's when the email came. From Josh. No subject line. Just, I never meant for this to go that far. I'm sorry. I don't know what she told you, but it wasn't what you think. I stared at the screen. Then, without replying, I forwarded it to Melinda at HR. With a single sentence. Thought you should see this. Revenge? No. Just closure. I wasn't going to punch Josh. I wasn't going to make threats. I wasn't even going to respond. But I wasn't going to protect him either. He made his choices. Now he could live in them. A week passed. Monica didn't reach out. But word got around. Josh had been transitioned off the team. Some quiet exit, framed as a mutual decision in a company-wide email. Her name wasn't mentioned. But I knew. And more importantly, she knew. The thing about playing with fire in a glass house. Eventually, someone's going to see the smoke. Then came the voicemail. I was at the gym. Missed the call. Almost deleted it out of habit. But something made me press play. Her voice. Quiet. Measured. Almost human. I don't know if this means anything anymore, but I wanted to say thank you. For not destroying me. For not humiliating me like I probably deserved. You could have made it public. You didn't. And that says more about you than I ever gave you credit for. I'm sorry. For all of it. Not just Josh. But for not choosing you when it mattered. She paused. I guess I just wanted you to know. You're a better man than I gave you credit for. And I'm the one who underestimated what I had. Click. No tears. No begging. Just admission. It was the closest she'd ever come to the truth. And honestly, it was enough. Not because it fixed anything, but because it confirmed what I already knew. She hadn't broken me. She'd freed me. And that was the real victory. 2 weeks after the voicemail, I got a call from a mutual friend. You know the type, the I don't want to take sides but crowd. He opened with, hey man, just checking in. Then paused. Then dropped it like a waiter delivering a dish you didn't order but are definitely paying for. So, Monica's been talking. Talking. That word always meant trouble when it came from her. Monica didn't talk. She curated. Rebranded. Airbrushed. What's she saying? I asked, already knowing I wasn't going to like it. She's just telling people she left because the marriage was cold. That you were distant. Controlling. that you made her feel small. I blinked. That's when it hit me. She was doing what she always did, slipping into the role of the underdog protagonist in a story she blew up herself. She's painting herself as the wounded wife? I said flatly. I mean, I didn't believe it, he said quickly. But some people might. Of course they would. Because people like Monica don't need truth, they need an audience. And heartbreak, when told right, makes for great theater. But this wasn't theater. This was my life. And she had just tried to rewrite my role without my permission. So I reminded her who the author was. I never wanted to embarrass her. I wanted peace. But Monica didn't leave quietly. She wanted a stage, and I was done being her silent co-star. So I did something I swore I wouldn't. I told my side. One post. Not long. Not angry. Just honest. When your partner searches how not to fall in love with a coworker, that's not a marriage. That's a countdown. I didn't leave. I didn't cheat. I just paid attention. She wanted an emotional affair that didn't come with a price tag. She got attention. She lost a husband. Sometimes people walk away quietly. Sometimes they walk away with receipts. Posted. Logged out. Done. I didn't check the comments. I didn't answer texts. I just let the silence do what it does best. Echo. 3 days later, Monica showed up at my door. Unannounced. Uninvited. Unwelcome. She stood there in a beige coat and regret. You didn't have to go public, she said, arms folded. No, I agreed. I didn't. But I did. Because you made the mistake of thinking I would let you spin your version of the truth while I stood there, nodding like a fool. Her lips tightened. People are calling me. My job. Your job survived? I interrupted. Because I let it. But let's not pretend you were ever the victim here. You wanted to get away with it. I let you walk. You started the story again. So I just finished it. She looked at me like she didn't recognize the man standing in the doorway. Because she didn't. She'd spent so long with the version of me that folded laundry and ignored red flags that she forgot what I looked like standing tall. You know I still care about you, she said. No, I replied. You care about being liked. You care about your image. But me? You only cared about me when I was convenient. That shut her up. She stepped back, hands shaking just slightly. You're not who I thought you were, she said. I smiled. Good. That means I'm finally doing this right. And then I closed the door. No slam. No drama. Just finality. Some people wait for karma. I didn't. I planned mine. 2 weeks after Monica's visit, I sent an anonymous envelope to her company's board. Inside, the timeline, the search history screenshots, the HR email thread, a printed transcript of Josh's apology email, a short summary with this closing sentence. You should know who's managing your brand. I didn't care what they did with it. I wasn't asking for her to be fired. But I knew the board. I knew how they worked. Reputation mattered more than competence. And Monica's reputation, well, now it was branded. 2 months later, a quiet restructuring took place. She wasn't fired, but she was relocated, demoted, shifted into a role that sounded important but meant nothing. And Josh, last I heard, he took a job in another city. Monica stayed behind, now a queen without a court, walking the halls of a company that remembered every whisper and every glass door she leaned too closely against. And me? I thrived, moved into a new place. Smaller, quieter mine. Started seeing someone months later. Someone honest. Someone simple. Someone who didn't flinch when I said I'd been through hell. Sometimes we talk about our pasts. And I always say the same thing. I was married once. She made me invisible. So I left. Not loud. Just better. This was never about revenge. It was about remembering my worth. Monica broke a vow and thought I'd break with it. But I didn't. She tried to rewrite the story, but I held the pen. And in the end, I gave her what she deserved. Nothing. No tantrum. No begging. No chaos. Just consequences. And silence. The kind you can't explain away. The kind you earned.